Hello everyone, this is part 2 of What If Naruto formed a new team, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Hazy steam drifted upwards from the hot springs. It was a relaxing afternoon until a woman with dark hair turned to her friend after hearing a peculiar noise from outside. You didn't hear that? It sounded like someone talking or giggling. Am I going crazy? Her friend nodded. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard something to that effect. Both girls peeked over the fence, but their eyes met nothing but the surrounding forest. A loon called out an eerie cry as they suspiciously scanned the area. The dark-haired woman shook her head and settled back into the water. Maybe we're just imagining things. Her friend nodded again and did the same. Little did they know that they were in fact the subject of one ninja's undivided attention. Stooped in the high branches of a sycamore tree was none other than legendary sage Jiraiya, renowned author of the Ica Ica Paradise series. He scribbled notes down furiously while watching the girls bathe. It was, after all, very important research. Hey, this is probably the best yet. He muttered excitedly to himself. He had recently returned to the Fire Country and dropped by the Leaf Village. However, his research there had been nothing short of a disaster when a certain green spandex-clad Junin caught him near a women's changing room, and accused him of disrupting the girls' springtime of youth. Fair weirdo. Jiraiya frowned as he recalled. What did he know anyway? Why, Jiraiya was quite certain he was overflowing with youthfulness, and was by no means disturbing anyone's springtime. The small town called Kuro had given him the perfect opportunity to seek new inspiration for his story. Boy, did he ever get it. In the midst of his work, he abruptly felt a fierce wind catch him from behind. Reluctantly, Jiraiya tore his skillful eyes away from the girls and looked behind him. Approaching at an alarming speed was what appeared to be a large whirlwind of sand and debris. The wind was heading straight his way. What the? He had no time to evade it, and was hurled from his hiding place with tremendous force and sent hurtling through the air until he crash-landed in the middle of the hot springs on his head. Tree branches and stones rained down beside him. Ow! As if the encounter had never happened, the gale continued on, leaving Jiraiya bruised and soaked with his notes soggy and unreadable. Damn gusts gotta screw up my brilliant notes and ahem. His attention was redirected by the sound of someone clearing their tea noticeably loud from behind him. He jumped to his feet and faced the throng of savagely angry and nude women beginning to surround him. Oh, hello there ladies. You're all looking lovely today. The dark-haired woman who thought she was hallucinating before smirked at the discovery. He received a merciless beating at that point in time, and because the women were both beautiful and not trained in combat, he had no choice but to take it without retaliation. The spandex-wearing Junin from Leaf seemed like a mere greeting card after that. Quote. Whoa. Haku wasn't certain what had just happened. Out of nowhere, a swirling mass of sand blew into Kuro and dissipated to reveal a small red-haired boy. It was enough to throw Naruto for a loop. Are you all right? The blonde was shouting even though the boy who had appeared was currently unconscious. Haku sighed to himself upon seeing his friend's reaction. He is very excitable. He and Naruto went to the boy's side to inspect him. He was deathly pale and covered in perspiration. His face was drawn up in a look of total despair. Naruto was quiet for a long moment before asking, "Is he S?" Haku frowned to himself. Was he S? He of all people should be able to recognize such a state. He placed his hand carefully over the nameless boy's parted mouth. He drew a weak breath. No, he's breathing, Naruto. He reported. The blonde boy had a look of worry etched onto his face. He could not explain why he was so concerned for the well-being of a person he didn't even know. Naruto lowered his voice. What do you think happened to him? Haku shook his head. I don't know. What in the world is this about? Hiroshi wondered out loud as he squatted down beside the two children in his charge. This poor child just tumbled out of cloud of sand. That's not something you see every day. Hiroshi-san, is he hurt? I can't tell why he's in so much pain. Haku observed as the boy twitched and jumped without any clear reason. Hiroshi shook his head. It's hard to tell. Haku, he could be very sick. Maybe it was all that sand. Naruto folded his arms and squinted his eyes. Nah, I don't think so. It kinda looked like that sand was keeping him safe. Hiroshi and Haku both looked at Naruto strangely. He certainly did have an interesting perspective, although a huge cloud of sand didn't at first look safe. We have to help him, Hiroshi-san. Haku resolved and Naruto nodded in fierce agreement. Hiroshi looked immensely overwhelmed. I don't know, I already have you two to look after, and this little one seems to be in very bad shape. I'm not sure where to start. Haku looked at him pleadingly, but we have to do something. Please, Hiroshi-san. Even Naruto called to him with familiarity. He already had taken in 2 children, what was one more? Hiroshi nodded to them. All right, Haku, go fetch some water for this poor child. Naruto, there should be a small bedroll by the cart. Can you spread it out for him? Both answered in unison, yes, Hiroshi-san. They both dashed back to Hiroshi's cart to go about their appointed tasks. Hiroshi bent down and scooped up the small boy, wondering what had happened to him. He laid the boy out on the futon Naruto had quickly prepared, and Haku returned hastily with a bowl of water. Hiroshi helped the boy into a sitting position. Okay Haku, now just tip some of that water into his mouth. He instructed. Meticulously, Haku let the unconscious boy take a small sip of water, and he involuntarily leaned up for more. Hiroshi noticed this behavior and concluded that the boy must have been without food or water for a long while. Is he gonna be alright? Naruto was leaning against Haku's shoulder to get a better look at the red-haired boy. Haku was nearly as antsy as Naruto was. Hiroshi sighed, I think he'll be alright. We'll have to keep watch to see when he wakes up. Maybe then he can tell us what happened to him. Right. Naruto put on a serious face and crept up onto the cart beside Haku. Hiroshi sat down as well with another deep sigh. Good grief. And as if the day hadn't been long enough, Hiroshi watched with detached concern as a white-haired man with red markings under his eyes lumbered towards them in a seemingly foul mood. He walked with a limp and a scowl was plastered on his face as approached. The cart's occupants looked at him soundlessly until he stopped in front of them. A twig was stuck in his hair. Just as Jiraiya was about to begin ranting to the odd troop about what mayhem he had went through, he felt as if he had been walked back to Konoha. Bright blonde hair, ocean blue eyes, and that face. It was the spitting image of his former student. Jiraiya blinked his eyes in disbelief. He must be losing his damn mind. He was well aware that his protege had a son years ago who resided in the Leaf Village and was under the care of the third Hokage. And he knew that the child had been named Naruto. There was no way he could have snuck away without someone taking notice. This was an important kid. He took a moment to regard the blonde child, trying to verify if it was indeed the one he had in mind. The small boy just gave him a questioning look and seemed ready to shout a snappy remark. The resemblance was just plain freaky. This is him alright, but how the hell did he get here? That is negligence if I ever saw it. It quickly occurred to the sage that he ought to return to the Leaf Village as soon as possible. If he didn't, he could be held responsible if the Kyuubi fell into the wrong hands. After a few moments of ordering his thoughts, Jiraiya remembered why he was so infuriated. Right, have any of you seen a tornado pass by here by any chance? Jiraiya asked, pulling debris out of his long, white locks. Naruto immediately identified the man before him as a complete weirdo. Haku gestured to the unconscious boy as an answer and Jiraiya gave the child a quick glance. Okay, so the kid was outlandish, but something on the boy's arm immediately drew his attention. A faintly visible, calligraphic arrangement was glowing on the boy's upper arm. A seal. He mentally groaned, well, I'll definitely have to look into this circus then. He just showed up in a dust storm, though I am not sure how. Hiroshi explained to the sage, he may have some sort of illness or, well, it's hard to say. Jiraiya nodded, I think I may know what the kid's problem is. He certainly caused a bit of trouble for me. He remembered the earlier incident when he had been brutally assaulted by a crowd of angry women, all because of some red-haired imp. Naruto decided it was time to share his 2 cents. Hey old man, why the heck is your hair so long? Naruto could no longer contain himself. What are ya trying to pretend you're a girl or something? You aren't exactly the definition of normal yourself, kid. He countered, you've got leaves sticking out of your hair like me, if you didn't notice. What is this, Lord of the Flies? Hey. Naruto stood up and pointed a finger at Jiraiya. You can't talk to me like that, old man. I'm going to be the Hokage someday. Jiraiya smirked. Oh really? Then what are you doing outside of the Leaf Village, squirt? Naruto was fuming while Haku could only watch. I'm training, that's what. Naruto barked, nearly falling off of the cart. Right. Hiroshi smiled slightly. Naruto would never run out of energy. Naruto, sit down before you hurt yourself, the fat man admonished. My apologies, sir, he's had a difficult day. Jiraiya shrugged. Yep, so have I. Haku was again keener to detail than his friend. Are you a ninja, sir? Haku asked curiously, noting his forehead protector with the kanji for oil on it. The sage seemed to inflate. Why yes. I am the legendary Toad Sage Jiraiya, today gracing you with my presence. Naruto didn't buy it. You still look like a crazy old man to me. He snickered. Jiraiya snorted. You're right, Hokage-sama, I'll deal with you later. He then turned to Hiroshi. I'm afraid I'm a bit behind on my research at the moment, but I'll come back in the morning to check up on the Sand Kid. And the smart mouth too, he strayed too far from home. The pudgy man nodded. I'd appreciate it. Will he be alright until then? Jiraiya was busy trying to rear out a saturated notepad. Yeah, just keep that squirt hydrated and he'll live. He's too exhausted to cause any more trouble. The merchant nodded uncertainly and Haku looked curiously at the Toad Sage. He wasn't exactly what he had expected a ninja to be like, and apparently Naruto shared his opinion. Jiraiya departed, cursing under his breath that his notes had been ruined. Damn Sand Kid. The next morning dragged in slowly. Sunlight peeked over the horizon and Hiroshi was snoring loudly. It had been a difficult night. To his good fortune, Naruto managed to tucker himself out and fall asleep. Haku on the other hand kept a quiet, overnight vigil over the nameless boy even against Hiroshi's wishes. He was determined to make sure that he would be alright. It wasn't easy. Haku had the task of giving the boy water, and at some point slipped in and out of consciousness while on watch. Hiroshi had gone through it as well, yet he would often wake up to the incoherent rambling of the redhead and his thrashing. The man could only wonder what made him suffer so. It appeared that Jiraiya hadn't explained enough when he said to keep him hydrated. In Hiroshi's opinion, he needed to be hospitalized, he was just that ill. At one point in the night, Hiroshi thought the boy was when he suddenly began screaming B into the darkness of Kuro's streets. He had certainly given Hiroshi and his wards a good scare. Naruto, however, almost immediately fell asleep again afterwards, and Haku was desperately trying to console the unconscious boy. Hiroshi wasn't sure there was much else they could do besides what Jiraiya had instructed. Hiroshi had to wonder, did the legendary sage in fact know what was afflicting the boy? He had only a brief look at him and had not made a big deal out of it, even though he appeared to be at death's door. Or maybe the emotional equivalent. Haku was still awake at daybreak. He was slowly beginning to nod off as the sun rose in the sky. He was too anxious over the boy's condition to get any rest. Still, he began to succumb to the effects of his sleep deprivation. Haku rested his chin against his sea. The bowl that had once contained water for the red-haired boy was empty, and slipped out of his hands silently. I can't fall asleep. Haku began to snore gently just as Naruto sat up and stretched. He looked over to Haku, noticing his predicament. He stood up and looked towards Hiroshi, who was next to him on the ground. I guess I'll let them sleep. Now I have a chance to train. His definition of training was jumping around through the treetops until one could do it blindfolded. And so he went on his merry way. When I finish, I'll make ramen for everybody and see how the new kid is doing. Naruto leapt up into a nearby tree and wondered to himself if he would be able to show Haku to jump in the same fashion. It would be a helpful ninja trait. Two green eyes blinked open. The light was painful at first, but after adjusting, they were able to take in the surrounding sights. Where am I and why am I so comfortable? Gaara turned his head slightly to look at the cushion he had been resting on. A bedroll. I'm not on the ground. He then turned to his right and nearly had a heart attack upon finding another person so close to him just sleeping. I thought everyone was afraid of me. Gaara gazed at the snoring boy. He felt strange seeing someone so relaxed. The boy curled up beside him on the cart seemed so peaceful, it was an expression he could hardly recall. Gaara observed the dark-haired boy beside him curiously. He couldn't be much older than himself and he appeared careworn. He sat up groggily. His head felt like a scrambled egg, and he rubbed his temples gingerly while he tried to remember what happened. Yashimaru, Temari, Kankuro, and his escape from Suna. What a nightmare it had been. The voice that had been inside his head was at the moment silent, although during the night he could hear it whispering to him. It told him to get up and do terrible things. Yet he was in no physical or emotional state to obey, and so the voice down. But he didn't know how long it could last. Haku had felt the shift in weight on the cart, and opened his eyes a margin to observe the movement. Oh, he's awake. He felt his eyelids droop again. He's awake. Haku's eyes snapped open in surprise. The ailing boy was awake and seemed to be just fine, as Jiraiya had predicted. The boy looked inquisitively at Haku, as if he had no idea how to act. He really didn't. Haku couldn't help but smile as he so often did. Good morning. How are you feeling? Gaara's brain was experiencing an overload. What did that boy just say? Was he just nice to me? Does he actually care? Haku was still smiling even when he gained no immediate response. The boy seemed frazzled and unaware of what had occurred between the time he had pleaded for help and the present. I'm Haku. He spoke again, trying to encourage the boy to talk. The response was concise. Gaara. Haku nodded. Nice to meet you, Gaara. Gaara felt compelled to say the same. It was nice to meet Haku, a person who wasn't out for his bee, but no words came to him. Somehow Haku seemed to understand. Are you thirsty? He didn't wait for an answer, and he stood to refill the bowl with water from a nearby well. Gaara stared at the sight and thought to himself, wow, I must have and went to that really nice place. While Gaara sat on the cart contemplating the situation, he was startled by a loud shout from his right. Hey, Haku, is he awake yet? Oh no, I must be in that other place. As Haku walked back bearing a full bowl of water, he regarded Naruto as he returned to the cart. Gaara was sitting up, wasn't he? Did Naruto really have to ask? Oh well, yes Naruto. This is Gaara. With a flying glomp, Naruto spastically soared through the air and onto the cart to greet Gaara. He landed a bit too forcefully and knocked Gaara from his seat at the edge. He tumbled to the ground in bewilderment. What a first impression that was. Whoops. Sorry Gaara. Naruto pulled him up and dusted off his shirt. You know Haku and I were really worried when you blew in here and... What is the matter with you children? Hiroshi was awake, and not pleased with how Naruto had been throttling the red-haired boy. The blonde boy rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. I didn't mean to send him flying like that, honest. Here you go. Haku handed the bowl of water to Gaara and he gratefully accepted it. Thank you. Naruto huffed. Take it easy, Naruto, he'll be fine. Hiroshi chuckled, patting the boy's head. Naruto considered his actions for a moment and decided to emulate Haku's behavior, in the hope he could make another friend. I'll make us some breakfast, Naruto volunteered, impressing Haku and Hiroshi. Maybe you can tell us how you got here, Gaara. Gaara finished gulping down the water he had been given. He nodded to them, not very sure how to explain it. While Naruto was busy fishing through his bag for ramen, Hiroshi was relieved to see Jiraiya appear. He looked very pleased and he was flipping through a new notepad. Well, the sage got a good look at Gaara. It seems like the sand kid is alright. Gaara looked towards Jiraiya strangely. He was having a hard time getting used to all the odd people he met. Haku watched Jiraiya with admiring eyes, while Naruto only sniffed disdainfully at his presence. Kid, what's your name? Jiraiya was never too blunt. Gaara gave the man a fierce look, inclined to bite back. Why should you care? Or, leave me alone. For the first time I've actually met some nice people. But what he said was, Gaara. He had a default response. Jiraiya put his research pad away and went over to the red-haired boy beside the cart. He had overheard a rumor a few days earlier that the Kazekige's youngest child had been reported missing. Even more curious was that small squads of Chunin and Junin had been quietly dispatched to search for the boy throughout the 5 countries had not recovered him yet. It was unusual that the Kazekige wouldn't start an uproar amongst all of the hidden villages when his son had vanished. The smell of foul play hung in the air. There had to be a reason for the boy's disappearance. Jiraiya still wasn't very interested in such a chaotic political situation, but the fact that the boy named Gaara had blown into Kuro in a whirlwind of sand, causing him grief in the process, was enough to make him suspect the kid was the one in question. Gaara's intense eyes reflected a painful experience, and his use of sand made Jiraiya conclude that the boy was certainly the Kazekige's son. He knew for a fact that the fourth Kazekige could manipulate gold dust, and he had a hunch that his children may also carry such an ability. He had also heard through the grapevine that the Jinchuriki of Suna was unpredictable and dangerous despite his young age. Let me have a look at your arm, Gaara. The Toad Sage tried to be casual about it. Gaara looked at Haku and then to Hiroshi. They didn't seem to object. He lifted his arm and let Jiraiya inspect it, not caring for the reason why he wanted to do so. I thought so, this must be the imperfect seal of the Shukaku. In his vast knowledge of seals, he quickly recognized Gaara's ailment. Not only did he have the Jinchuriki from Hidden Leaf on his hands, but he had also discovered the one missing from Suna as well. Boy, do I need a drink. All right. He allowed Gaara to lower his arm and Naruto and Haku took a seat beside the boy. Naruto passed around cups of instant ramen. Haku, remembering how Naruto had devoured his noodles the last time, felt his appetite disappear again. Gaara only picked at the ramen disinterestedly. Hiroshi turned to the sage. Well, is anything wrong, sir? No. Unless I admit the fact that we have two demon jailers right in front of us. Hey, I doubt the Kazekige wants Gaara back for friendly reasons. Now, how do I break it to the merchant? Nothing is, wrong per se. However, I'm under the strong impression that I should bring these two back to Konoha with me for safety purposes. Jiraiya indicated Naruto and Gaara who were slurping noodles. Gaara paused, his eyes widened and he turned to Naruto. This is good. Naruto was thrilled. I'm glad ya like it, Gaara. Gaara couldn't believe how friendly the blonde boy was, although he did find his volume a bit high. Haku gingerly nibbled at the noodles, forcing the image of a binging Naruto out of his mind. Hiroshi watched them interact. Why only Naruto and Gaara? He had to ask. I believe they would be of special interest to the Hokage. Naruto especially, since he ran away from home. Jiraiya didn't want to get into too much detail. I understand. It would be better that way. I'm in no position for supporting children on my own, and they deserve a much better life than what I'd offer, Hiroshi agreed, but, if you must take Gaara and Naruto then I would like you to take Haku as well. Jiraiya mentally groaned, oh crap. I mean 2 is already bad enough. The fat man noticed the disapproving look on the Toad Sage's face. It's the only thing I'd ask of you. The boy needs training as a ninja and Konoha is where he can get it, right? Damn, how do I weasel out of this one? Well, I'm not in the habit of bringing just any kid to Hidden Leaf to become a shinobi. His chances of becoming one are slim. Jiraiya tried to be convincing. Sorry, I'm only taking these 2. Hiroshi sighed. I see. I'm sorry, Haku, maybe I can take you there myself one day. The hefty man lamented inwardly. Haku had been listening and was completely devastated by the news. He turned to Naruto and Gaara, painful silence gripping him. How can I become a ninja now? Furious, Naruto threw his ramen cup at Jiraiya. Oh yeah. Well, we're not going anywhere until you let Haku come with us. Naruto grabbed the boy protectively by the shoulders and then turned to his red-haired companion. Right, Gaara. Haku is nice, so why shouldn't he be allowed to go to Konoha? Haku comes with us. Gaara agreed and made Naruto's face lit up. What brats? Jiraiya frowned at the QB container. Oh, fine. But I don't want trouble out of any of you, got it? Haku was once again jovial. Thank you, Jiraiya-sama. The toad hermit smirked to himself, finally a bit of respect. Although Hiroshi was happy it had somehow worked out for the 3 youngsters, he had also felt somewhat disappointed. He wouldn't have anyone once they went with Jiraiya to the Hidden Leaf village. Jiraiya whipped out his notepad again and turned towards Hiroshi. It's settled. I'll be back at noon to pick him up. That should be enough time for goodbyes, right? Anyway, I have a bit of research to do until then. The merchant nodded. Very well. The sage was gone a moment later, eager to continue his research. At that point, the 3 boys had finished their breakfast, although Naruto's had been abruptly short. Naruto and Haku were chattering excitedly, while the more reserved Gaara listened, liking the way they described becoming shinobi. The merchant sighed to himself. How hard could a farewell be? Parting gifts. Haku asked as Hiroshi led them through a town market, But Hiroshi-san, we don't need any gifts. Naruto begged to differ, presents would be nice. Gaara frowned at Naruto. Did he often take advantage of people this way? Or was this a special occasion? Haku shared his thoughts. No, I suppose you don't, Hiroshi replied, but I want you to all have something to remember me by while you're off training to become ninja. We won't forget you, Hiroshi-san. Haku said quietly. Gaara detected the distress in the boy's voice, although Naruto was not as conscious of it. He made a beeline for a dango vendor and pointed to it enthusiastically. Hey, Hiroshi-san, I know what I want for my present. The blonde boy was excited. See, normally I would ask for ramen, but I get ramen all the time. So if I get dango, I'll think of you every time I eat it. Hiroshi saw the childish logic in his reasoning. All right, Naruto. Naruto was busy selecting his snack while Haku spoke to Gaara. Gaara, where exactly did you come from? If you don't mind my asking. He asked quietly, knowing it was more of a personal subject. The village hidden in the sand. Haku nodded. I see. I'm from the water country. Haku was easy to confide in, Gaara decided, although he wasn't prepared just yet to tell him how and why he had left sooner. Thankfully, the black-haired boy didn't ask any more questions. Thanks, Hiroshi-san. Naruto munched on his skewer of dango, and pranced back over to his companions. Hiroshi then turned to Gaara. He hadn't known the boy for that long, but already he was beginning to grow on him. He was reserved, almost shy. And his quiet nature was refreshing. Anything you had in mind, Gaara? He asked. Gaara was startled. A present? For me? This was something he was sure wouldn't happen again to him for a very long time. He scanned the area, not seeing anything he really wanted. Typically, a child his age would want sweets or a toy, but when he did finally find something that struck his fancy, Hiroshi was slightly confused. I can use that. Gaara pointed to a gourd that was large in proportion to his height. Hiroshi was puzzled why he would ever want such a strange thing as a parting gift. Are you sure, Gaara? Do you really want that? Hiroshi clarified. Haku also was perplexed. Why would you want that? Gaara went up to the vendor. An old woman watched as he removed the cork from the top of the gourd and then raised his hand. His companions watched in stunned silence as Gaara summoned the sand that was scattered all over the street. There was quite a lot of it. The sand lifted off the ground at Gaara's whim and neatly slipped into the gourd. Hiroshi, although caught off guard by such power, understood why the boy wanted it. A container. Naruto and Haku watched in awe as they had before. The blonde boy grinned to his friend. Wow, he's kinda like you, Haku, but with sand instead of water. Haku nodded. Yes, I guess so. Hiroshi nodded to the red-haired boy. All right, Gaara. I'll get it for you if you want it. The old woman nearly had a heart attack watching, and quickly wanted to appease the boy with the frightening power. Go on, just take it and go. How fortunate. Gaara wrapped his arms around the large gourd and waddled back to his companions. I just want to keep my sand with me. He explained. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I can see why. Hey Haku, maybe you should get one too, but for water instead. Haku shook his head. No, I don't want anything. I'll always remember Hiroshi. The merchant could understand why Haku was having a difficult time with the idea. Yes, Haku was overjoyed that he had the opportunity to go to the village hidden in the leaves, but he was hesitant to leave Hiroshi. The merchant had saved his life and become his dear friend in the process. It wouldn't be as difficult for Naruto and Gaara to say goodbye. And Hiroshi admitted to himself that he would sorely miss the boy from the water country as well. Hiroshi composed himself. This was no time to get emotional. The kids had a future now, and a seemingly bright one at that. It was all he had to know. Come on you three, Hiroshi waved them on, let's get ourselves some lunch before Jiraiya-sama returns. Thankfully that would take a while. The boys followed Hiroshi, all the while Naruto complained at why Haku hadn't gotten a present, and that he was wishing for more dango as well, but not for its sentimental value. There's something I want you to have, Haku, Hiroshi told him as they walked into a tea house. I know it would mean a lot to you. Haku was still firm in his decision. But I don't want anything, Hiroshi-san. The merchant chuckled. Well, that's just fine, Haku, but I want you to have it anyway. Gaara eyed the tea cake spread out on the table hungrily. It had been days since he had eaten properly, and he was about ready to eat a horse, or at least the remainder of all Naruto's ramen. Are ya hungry, Gaara? Naruto gave him a s on the back. I am too. He apparently was always hungry. And the close contact Naruto was introducing him to almost made Gaara want to give him a good whack. Still, he wanted to exercise more self-restraint, a small, first step on his way to learning to control his power. Even if it was tough to get used to, surely it was a change for the better. Gaara wondered if Haku had the same feeling about Naruto. After lunch, Naruto began to describe the beauty of Konoha as they returned to Hiroshi's stand. Jiraiya was waiting for them. The sage was busy with editing his book, however, and wasn't too anxious for their arrival. Are there lots of ninja in your village, Naruto? Haku absorbed all of what he was told, even if it had been slightly exaggerated. Yup, tons of them, he answered. He was eager to go home. He hadn't expected to miss it so much. Gaara spoke up. My village has lots of ninja too. Naruto squinted his eyes in realization. Oh, yeah, that's right. Where are you from again, Gaara? He's from the Hidden Sand Village. Haku informed him. Naruto had heard of the place before, but not in detail, so he only nodded to Gaara. It was when he caught sight of Jiraiya his pleasant mood turned sour. He disliked the sage for a reason he could not yet put his finger on, even if he did hold a mild respect for the old nin. One day, he would understand what the research was all about. Hey, old man, tell me again why we have to travel with you. The blonde boy complained. Jiraiya didn't even look up from his work, because I'm the only one around who can take your sorry little butts to Leaf. Naruto was offended. Quit talking like that to us, old man. Naruto lacked the ability to practice what he preached. I apologize for my lack of respect, Hokage-sama, but you aren't exactly rolling out the welcome wagon either. He muttered to himself after that, squirt. Jiraiya couldn't believe that he had to be the one to find the runaway Kyuubi vessel. Gaara frowned at Naruto as well as the sage. He had to put up with this bickering for the entirety of their journey. He wasn't looking forward to it. Haku, Hiroshi beckoned the farm boy over. Come here for a moment, will you? He slipped away from his companions and went up to his guardian. Yes, Hiroshi-san. Take this. The fat man handed Haku a long scarf. It looked almost new. It's from the water country. I just want you to have something from your homeland while you're training. It wasn't very useful since the weather would be warmer in fire country, however the boy was overcome with grog. The gift meant a lot to him. Haku tied it around his waist and beamed up at the thoughtful merchant. Thank you, Hiroshi-san. The boy felt tears sting his eyes, but he held them back. He was supposed to be happy, right? He was going to a better place where he could achieve his goal. So why was he so sad? I know you've been through much, Haku, even if you haven't told me all about it. Hiroshi patted him on the head, but I just want you to know that I believe in you. The merchant turned to the other boys as well. I believe in all of you. I know that you'll all make fine shinobi someday. Jiraiya snickered inwardly, doubting the notion. They hadn't shown very much promise and had all appeared to be misfits. Still, he knew it was a sentimental moment and he decided not to ruin it. Naruto sniffled loudly. He too had grown attached to the old merchant. He and Haku gave Hiroshi a big hug, and when Gaara only watched with mild curiosity, Naruto dragged him into it as well, nearly suffocating him. Jiraiya sighed. Did farewells really have to be this difficult? Hiroshi chuckled at Haku and Naruto's sad faces, and Gaara's blue one. They certainly were an odd bunch, a group of outcasts, but they were his outcasts, and he was fond of them all. Well, farewell for now. He each patted them on the head one last time. I'm sure we'll see each other again sometime. Naruto nodded. All right. He then chuckled to himself. Hey, I'm starting to sound like Hinata-chan. Boy, do I miss her. Gaara turned to Naruto. Who's Hinata? While Naruto rambled on about his only friend in the Leaf Village, Haku smiled at Hiroshi. I promise, Hiroshi-san, I'll become a strong ninja and I'll come back and take you to Konoha when I can. The merchant nodded to Haku. I know, Haku. Are you ready? Jiraiya asked, putting away his naughty book. You don't have to go if you don't want to. I apologize, Jiraiya-sama, it's time. The merchant nudged his wards along. Go on now, boys. Bye, Hiroshi-san. Naruto bade him farewell, ready to go and see Konoha again, busying himself by making verbal jabs at the Toad Hermit. Gaara's green eyes scanned over Hiroshi for a moment, but a small smile formed on his face. Goodbye. After the Kazekige's son had followed after Naruto, Haku looked up at Hiroshi, still hesitant to leave. Go on, Haku. It's all right, the fat man assured him. Haku nodded. I must go to the Hidden Leaf Village. Come on, Haku. Let's go. Naruto called back to him. With one last smile, Haku ran after his friends, promising to himself that he would make Hiroshi proud. 3 days later, Jiraiya was about ready to K himself. Or at least K Naruto. He was becoming insufferable, while Gaara and Haku at least remained quiet. Still, Jiraiya wasn't the paragon of patience and understanding these days, nor was he a very nurturing parent figure either. He was very out of practice with kids and it was beginning to show. Hey, old man, are we there yet? Naruto walked alongside the sage while Gaara and Haku kept a safe distance away. Jiraiya was about ready to explode. Well, hey old man, are you listening? The toad hermit's brow twitched. I'm gonna strangle this kid. Naruto, Haku tried to prevent the explosion. I think Jiraiya-sama is a bit tired. The blonde boy squinted his eyes. Ya really think so? Jiraiya led him along in wrathful silence, trudging with heavy steps and big eyes. He looks fine to me. Naruto shrugged. Gaara shook his head. Haku means you're bothering Jiraiya-sama. Just stay calm, we're only a day's walk from Konoha. Am I bothering you, toad sage guy? Naruto couldn't restrain himself. Yes. The Kyuubi's vessel smiled in satisfaction. Good. Punt. Naruto was booted into the tops of a nearby oak tree like a field goal. Suddenly, Jiraiya felt much better. Now, where were we? Haku watched as Naruto hurtled down through the branches. His face was red with indignation. What was that for, old man? The boy squawked. What do I look like? A football. Jiraiya paused and looked at him. No, I just had to put some space between us. Now let's be on our way. Gaara and Haku followed, but Naruto pounced on Gaara's gourd. Hey, wait a minute guys. Naruto was still determined to get on the sage's nerves. See, if he really is a legendary ninja he should be able to teach us some ninja techniques and stuff. I want to see him prove it. Haku and Gaara halted. Although their energetic friend went a bit overboard at times, they were interested in ninja skills as well. Jiraiya groaned when he noticed he had lost the favor of his other two wards, or, sheesh, not you two. I mean you guys were actually pleasant. Are you really going to listen to this blonde squirt? Haku nodded. The sage s his forehead in frustration. Naruto folded his arms across his sea triumphantly. Well, let's see it old man. You brat. We're only a few hours from Konoha and you have to pull this crap. We're not going anywhere until you teach us a ninja skill. The blonde confirmed. Jiraiya cursed under his breath and then smiled devilishly at him. All right then, I'm sure this won't take long. Gaara sighed to himself. Was Naruto the only one who didn't realize Jiraiya was going to give him a hard time? Of course it won't take long. I can take anything you dish out. Apparently yes. Jiraiya shrugged. Very well then. I'll test all three of you. We'll begin with the basics of chakra control. I believe that you have all heard this term at least once, correct? Gaara and Naruto nodded, while Haku stood uninformed. What's chakra? Naruto was quick to answer his question. It's the energy that helps ninja do stuff. Could he be any vaguer? Gaara mumbled a better definition into Haku's ear while Jiraiya continued to explain. To start, I want you each to select a tree, a tall one. And climb it, the sage stated simply. Naruto laughed. That's easy. Is it? Well, good for you, Squirt, because there are few children your age I know who can get up a tree without using their hands. Jiraiya added. Naruto was floored. No hands. Run up a tree. No jumping. Gaara frowned. He wasn't very well acquainted with trees. This wouldn't be an easy task for him either. So, I suppose we just focus our chakra in our feet. Haku once again proved he had brains. And the farm boy gets it. Jiraiya hollered. Now, get to work. Oh, and here. He handed each of them a kunai. Make a mark when you reach your limit. I doubt you'll get very high. Jiraiya made himself comfortable on a nearby boulder and took out his newest volume of Ica Paradise for editing. Naruto still was adamant about impressing the sage. No problem. He lunged for the oak tree while Gaara and Haku watched. He built a tremendous amount of speed, but lost focus when he began to travel in a vertical direction. Naruto tumbled backwards with a startled cry. The record to beat, 4 inches. The toad hermit glanced over at the boy who was bent double at the base of the oak. What's the problem, Squirt? You didn't have any trouble getting up into that tree before. Gaara turned to the sage. You helped him. True. In a painful way. Jiraiya smirked. Oh, that's right. Naruto stood up and brushed himself off. Oh yeah. I'll show you. This time Gaara ran up a tree as well. Although he didn't exceed Naruto's record by very much, he at least landed on his feet. Haku felt nervous. He had never used chakra before, at least, he hadn't noticed himself using it. He got a better grip on the knife in his hand and concentrated. Okay, I need to focus my chakra, focus it to my feet. He had made the educated guess that the force he drew upon to manipulate ice was what this chakra was. He did his best to feel it out intentionally. The grass beneath his sandals bent away from the force of his chakra, though Haku didn't let the achievement get to his head. Now, how much do I need to use? That was the question of the day. It seemed like Gaara and Naruto hadn't figured that out yet. Neither of them had gone beyond 10 feet as they dashed at their trees. I guess I'll have to take a chance. Haku got a running start while Gaara and Naruto both came back down to the ground. They paused to watch him. The dark-haired boy ran and then felt himself set foot on his chosen tree. Focus, my chakra. His feet stuck to the tree. So naturally he kept running. And running. And he felt no need to use his kunai, he was so focused, he knew that he wouldn't fall. Whoa, Haku. Naruto gasped and Gaara watched in shock as the farm boy went up, and didn't come back down. Suddenly, there was a thudding sound, and a few leaves floated down from the cedar tree. Jiraiya looked up and smirked. The farm boy really does get it. He muttered, fascinated. It was unprecedented. This was probably no ordinary farm kid. I'm at the top, Jiraiya-sama. Haku announced, still surprised over what he had accomplished. The sage nodded, I can see that. It appears you have perfect chakra control, Haku. Come back down and we'll try something a bit harder for you. He then turned back to the other 2 boys, hey, did I say you could stop? Determined now more than ever, Gaara and Naruto began racing up their respective trees with twice the previous effort. While Jiraiya led Haku to a nearby pond, he considered to himself that Gaara and Naruto had a difficult time with their tasks because of all the chakra they had to tame. They both had immense reserves. He turned to the farm boy and pointed to the small pond behind him. You did well, kid. Now, apply the same concept to the water. Focus your chakra to your feet, and you can walk across the surface. Haku found it all too easy. Water. Water was completely at his command, although, that was something Jiraiya was unaware of thus far. Haku nodded, yes. Gaara watched from his tree as Haku strolled out onto the water's surface effortlessly. He gestured for Naruto to observe as well. They were both riddled with envy that it came so easily to him. Haku walked back and forth over the pond, as if he was still on land. Even though he had the opportunity to brandish his power, he feared Jiraiya may not take it as well as Naruto had. So he hid it. Jiraiya sighed, what next? Ask him to fly. I bet he can do it too. Alright Haku, that's enough. Hiroshi was right about you. You have the makings of a great ninja, but that doesn't mean you can slack off, got it? Jiraiya said as he left the water. Haku nodded, I understand. The farm boy quickly rejoined his companions to give them a few tips. A brilliant farm boy and 2 Jinchuriki. I need a drink. With Haku's advice, Naruto and Gaara were able to make it halfway up their trees. Yet after a short while, Jiraiya herded them on, assuring them they would have plenty of time to practice in Konoha. By the end of that day, Naruto had deflated himself, reducing his insults to the sage once every 15 minutes instead of twice every 5. The 3 boys were overwhelmed at the sight of Konoha's gates. Even Naruto was relieved to have arrived back at his village, even though the people there may not be as happy to see him. Jiraiya looked up to the guard standing watch. Hey, open the gate will you? His voice was gruff, I need to speak with the Hokage. Of course, Jiraiya, sir, the guard answered respectfully and then looked to the sage's companions as the doors slowly swung open. You've brought children with you. The 3 boys looked at each other excitedly. Konoha at last. The toad hermit sighed. I was trying to be a good person and bring them to a decent village, but they are making it really hard for me. you want. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.